Hello everybody and welcome back for another episode of Indie Impressions. My name is Nick and today we're going to be checking out something pretty simple and kind of cute and kind of cool called Egg Quest by developer BS Games. This one was suggested to me by fellow YouTuber Red Panda Gamer, and it is a game that essentially we're going to be looking for some eggs and trying to solve some simple puzzles. It's got a great art style and was developed in only 3 days, so it's a pretty impressive effort for something like that. So let's give it a try, shall we? So first thing I notice here, play, gallery, cheats, and credits. I have to say the typeface is maybe a little bit hard to read, but I also just don't really mind too much because the art style is kind of funny to me. It reminds me a little bit of Untitled Story. I don't know if you guys got to try that one, but another rather quirky game. Although this one I'd say is probably a little bit more straightforward. And also Castle Story it reminds me a little bit of, and maybe a little Scribble Knots in there too. So there's our credits real quick. There's not a whole lot to see, but that's okay. Wait, is that just the first page? Ah, there we go. Should give them their due credit as such, of course. And there we go. So it's a Game Maker game, which is also pretty surprising, because it honestly plays and looks pretty good. I read a bunch of people on the Game Jolt page were actually criticizing this for being overly difficult and found that the tutorial was extremely hard. I played through the tutorial and part of the first level to try and get a feel for this one before I started, and I have to say I wasn't all that surprised by the difficulty. It didn't seem all that bad to me, so I was kind of confused by what the problem was, and I have a feeling it comes down to people not quite getting into the groove of what this game is really about, and I know I haven't exactly explained that just yet, but that's okay. It's just, you gotta take your time and kind of get into it instead of just rushing, I think, with this one. And I think a lot of the charm has to do with, there's gonna be more interactions and things that haven't been totally implemented yet. And I have to say, well, I guess the tutorial maybe doesn't spell out every element of things as well as maybe it could, but essentially we've got these little purple guys here, and we can grab them, and they double jump, and we're using our WASD for that. And we want to grab an egg, so if you grab your cursor here, move it to the side of the screen, we can scroll around sort of like we were in an RTS game or something. And there's the egg we want to grab, and we want to bring that back to our little totem pole here over on the left side. So the idea is to figure out a way to get over there using whatever you can, and part of that whole situation is that we're going to be able to interact with things, and one of those such things, and I realized this myself, I don't think the tutorial mentions this, but you can just click and grab this little berry, and it tells you to feed this green guy over here, but it doesn't say exactly how, and see, that's a problem, because I thought that would land on the ground, but apparently it doesn't. So we'll restart that, and we'll go ahead and give him the berry properly this time. And that should be very fun for him. So he turns purple, and now he's also an interactable NPC on our side. So we can now click on him to assume that role. So at the bottom here it says we want to stack our characters to try and get that egg. And even with a double jump, we can't quite make it over that platform just yet. So we're going to grab another one of these guys and bring him over. And hopefully the two together should be enough to get over, and indeed it is. So now we've got the egg, and we want to bring it back. And it tells us pretty clearly that's what we want to do, but it doesn't tell us that we can actually press spacebar to throw the egg, and also doesn't tell us that the egg will then bounce all over the place. But thankfully it puts the egg back in our hands in case we do a sort of a missed throw, which makes things a lot easier. Because honestly, I was a little confused as to how we were going to get the egg back over to the other island, but I guess there's actually a couple of options. We can either take it and toss it over the gap, or we can actually try and stack up a little bit of a ladder of these characters, which seems to be one of the predominant traits of how this particular game works, is that you often seem to find yourself in a position where you need to stack up the characters into stairs, and they don't seem to mind too much. They actually actively jump in place to hold each other up, although it can be a little finicky. Sometimes you end up dropping them at times when you don't mean to. But that's okay, we can always reset pretty easily. It tells us to remember that they can jump twice in the air. That's good to know. And we just want to set up somebody to catch the egg on the other side, since we're going to go for a throw here in just a second. Oh, okay, it does tell me to press space to throw. I just didn't quite get to this prompt at the time. Okay. Oh, it went right into the slot. Okay, that's great. Tutorial solved. So that's pretty much everything you need to know about how to control the Ugg bugs. But what I said was that the game was kind of dependent on a sense of cool art style and some sort of emergent properties that make things more interesting. And this level sort of plays to that strength, although it might take me a moment here to build up what I need to do. We are going to try and look around first, of course, to make sure that there's nothing off screen that might be useful to us. That's sort of a bit of a hint there. What's going on the bottom also may be a little bit cryptic if you're not paying attention. And there doesn't seem to be anything up above, so I guess we will just make our progress towards the egg then. And I saw a few of the previews in the windows for the other levels, and I didn't try them yet, but it looked like there was a number of other things that were going to be happening in those levels that were similar to the twist of this one. So hopefully I have some success here in trying to climb up these characters without knocking them all over the place. And they give you more than enough to accomplish our mission. The goal here, though, is just to build a ladder strong enough that, like, we actually just don't knock them down all the time, because one false move and you knock into them, they all start moving over, and then before you know it, see, this is kind of what I'm getting at. Things get a little bit difficult from there, but I'm going to try and keep adapting them to wherever I end up being in this ladder. Takes a very careful hand. Oh no! Okay, so I've knocked them down, and then we will build anew. Alright, we can at least salvage that one there. The two on the other side of the ladder are probably going to be lost for now, because there's no way to pass through them, unfortunately, as far as I'm aware. Once you have characters on the wrong side, well, they're going to stay over there until you want to rebuild from scratch again. And I'm not quite in the mood to do that just yet. Thankfully, they seem not to compress under the heavy weight of all their comrades, otherwise this could be very difficult. I'm imagining maybe you get the strength of like 6 or 8 of them up on top of one of them, and they just flatten out and turn into some kind of like grape jam. Nobody wants that. That would be sad news. Alright, we're almost there. Oh! And who's peeking up their head? It's the giraffe. Alright, so they're actually trying to make the level even more challenging. You thought you reached the top, but you actually still have to go up to the top of the giraffe's head. And now I'm screwing up the ladder formation, which is unfortunate, because I may not actually make it up there. There were some criticisms levied at the game that maybe this could be a bit tedious, and I have to say, to some degree, I agree, but also I think we're missing the big picture here, and the big picture is that there's going to be more to do than just the main primary element, which is focusing on reaching the egg. So I think once those elements are introduced, and provided that the whole game doesn't end up just being like, how fast can you stack all your characters on top of each other, I think that there definitely is some room here for things to grow, and I think we are actually at a point now where I should be able to jump up to this next... Oh, geez. I thought for some reason that spacebar was jump, despite it never being jump at any other point in this particular episode. And now I have a feeling I'm not going to be able to reach that platform anymore, which I'm not. Okay, well, then we can start climbing again. So this is where the tedium could set in, because like the options here become a little bit restricted at this point. You might find yourself in a position where if you screw this up too many times, they're going to start falling off the world into the ether. And at that point, well, you're just going to lose characters, and you might need all of them. So, you know, you get to a bottleneck maybe 3/4 through the level, realize maybe you're out too many characters that you can't finish the objective, and then you might have to reset and then start stacking them all over again, which could be a little frustrating. I would definitely agree on that point. And I missed the jump. I don't know that I can actually make the jump, and I'm just getting further and further away. You know what I should do is probably, like, orient my character a little bit closer. Oh, no! That's exactly what I was saying I didn't want to happen. Giraffe's pretty adorable, though. So I could definitely see there being a lot of room for more levels, more creativity, and a lot more in terms of just bizarre, silly things that could happen during the progress of the levels. And I think that would be the real strength of where EggQuest could go if EggQuest is to become a full-fledged game, and I hope that it does, in fact, because I really do enjoy the art style. I wish the background music didn't loop quite as much, and also the loop is a little bit awkward, and it kind of clicks a little bit between, but I'm sure they'll address that. The game was developed for the Indie 3 thing, and it was only done in a few days, so it's like, all these little minor gripes are really inconsequential when we're just concerned with, like, is there a playable product here, and is there potential, and is there a framework, and I think all of those things are actually correct and true, so as far as any gripes that I might have, I do not hold them to heart for any length of time. This is just about setting up what our expectations could be, and I think right now they're in a good place. So just need to see more, and I'm going to be happy to try this as a full version if it ever does get done. So I'll be following development on this one. I hope you do as well. I'm not sure what to exactly call this as far as like a stage of development, whether this is beta or alpha or pre-alpha. Kind of doesn't matter in this particular case since it's still very early on. I'm not even sure like what features are still left to be added other than just more levels, whether or not they want to redesign some of the gameplay systems fundamentally or not. Because right now, I mean, it basically works. I would just like it if these guys didn't fall all over the place quite as much. But that might be, I don't know, if is there really a good way to solve that problem? Maybe have them lock into place at times, like have like a 90 degree and 245 degree lock points above each one, that like above their arms and above their head would be a fixing point where they could stay in place. I don't know, is that a thing that people might be interested in, I'm wondering? Because as much as, I've lost so many of them. Alright, off the mortal coil we shuffle then, lemmings of yore. I don't also feel very bad for them when they fall off either. There should be like a little thing that's like their soul rises up out of the grave as they fall to their death or something, just to show that they've actually fallen. But yeah, I do these episodes as much for my own amusement and as much for you to find out about a game as I also do for the developer too, because I like to have these back and forth, these little dialogues between myself and them. So whenever possible, like if there's a suggestion that seems like it makes sense to you, I always enjoy when people let me know, because I just like to have this conversation too, because I also just have a good time looking at the possibilities of things and seeing where things might go. And I didn't actually try this level out, so I'm not sure what's going on here, but it looks like there's a duck, and that can't be too bad, right? Oh, where are you going, duck? That is a strange way that you're flying, but I kind of appreciate it nonetheless. Okay, so there's like a boat all the way over there, and he's gonna go land rather glitchily over on the post on that, and that's where our egg is, huh? How on earth are we supposed to get over there? I'm presuming these guys can't swim. Also, the restart and exit probably don't need to stay on the actual screen the whole time. I imagine that would be just pretty simple to just put in a pause menu or something like that, or even just designate a key to be the reset key. I think that would be just fine. Let's see what happens when we put one of these guys in the water, just out of curiosity. Oh, they can actually swim, okay. I'm so used to whatever characters we seem to be able to take control over in these types of games to just be completely, like, useless as far as traversal or anything like that. And also, I guess I'm comparing them to lemmings a little bit, which is probably not quite fair, because lemmings are particularly useless most of the time, except for their one special trait. Oh, okay. I think I get where the challenge is coming in here, so we actually can't... Oh, they float, too. Okay. I was gonna say we're gonna have to balance swimming two of them across at the same time so they could jump off of each other's head to get up into the boat. It's a lot of interesting possibilities for how this could turn into... Oh, geez. It's gone. I guess they only float for a minute and then they fall through and drown or something like that. That's sad. So I guess I was supposed to bring multiple through at the same time. Anyway, I think we're gonna wrap up Egg Quest for this particular video. Oh no, that cloud is cut off in the background. So it's got a lot of potential. It still seems rather early on, but I do enjoy what I see here, and I definitely would hope that maybe you guys would check this one out as well. I am curious to know what your thoughts are, and if you have any particular feedback as to what would make this better, or what you think could use some improvement, or how you would like to see maybe a final version of this game shape up. Because like I said, I think there's a lot of opportunity here to be taken advantage of. So, thank you everybody for watching. As always, if you enjoyed the episode, consider leaving a like on it. It helps me out a whole bunch. And then come back again tomorrow for a new episode. New indie impressions go up every single day without fail, so I'll see you back for that. Check out all the links in the description. The game link's going to be in there too if you want to go download. It's only 8.5 megs, so it's not even a big download. And you can check it out yourself and let me know what your opinions are in the comments. So thank you everybody for watching, thank you for being here as always, and I hope to talk to you again tomorrow. Have a great night, everybody.